Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless Podcast. I am your host, Elena, and today we are going to be talking to a fun life coach slash fitness coach. I'm going to call you a life coach. I know you're a fitness coach, but I think we do the same thing when it comes to just helping people. I think that's really, really important. So I'm excited to have Stephanie Lueras on with me today. Welcome. And I would love to hear your story and share it with my audience.
Well, it's great to be here today.
Yeah, super excited to have you. So how did you get into the field you're in now? What led you to being an entrepreneur?
Well, I have not always been in the fitness and wellness space. I'm the girl that fakes the gym class. But I actually used to be a pastor, and I had come to this place where I was done. I was unhappy. I was unhealthy. I didn't feel good. And I've been overweight my entire life. You name the diet, I've tried it. And I was done. I was done with the yo-yo dieting, with the I'm going to start on Monday, the New Year's resolutions, all of it. Mm-hmm. But I knew something had to change. And I'm this, type A person, linear thinker, pretty goal driven. So I sat back and I'm like, well, what can I do? What is something that truly is reasonable that I can do? First thing I did was start drinking water.
Yes.
And it wasn't like go out and get one of these crazy, like huge containers. It was a 6-ounce cup of water and an obnoxious kitchen timer. And every time the timer went off, I'd have to walk to the other end of the office to the water cooler and fill it up and repeat the process, establishing this habit of being hydrated, which was something I was not. And then it came into, what's next? Instead of going to the drive-thru twice a day, I'm going to cook at home. Doesn't matter what I'm cooking at home, we're going to cook at home.
Right.
Then it was, let's start to play around with recipes and ingredients and how does food make us feel? And, just really starting to change how my husband and I were eating. And at this point, I was starting to feel pretty good. And so in my mind, the natural thing was, let's bring some movement in. But at that time, I was in a body size where I was pretty close to losing my mobility. Like I was that large. Oh. And so in my mind, the only thing possible I could do was walk. So I go out, walk to the end of the street and back, and I want to die. But keep doing it. End of the street and back, around the block, around the neighborhood, continuing to build this new habit. One day I get this bug up my rear that I'm like, I wonder if I can run. Now, remember, this is fake sick in gym class. Running is a foreign concept to me. So I run to this stop sign, probably 50 yards down the street. And again, it was that initial feeling of, oh my gosh, I am going to die.
Yeah. But
at the same time, there was something that changed in me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of like this. Like there's something to running that I like.
Power.
And so it was like, go home, figure out this fat girl running thing, build it all up, go through all the training plans and, read everything, big old nerd about it. But then that became 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, jumping over into triathlon, working up the distances there. So going from that cup of water to training for Ironman distance triathlons, like this whole span has just been one habit after another. And without intentionally dieting, but focusing on all these habits that changed not only how I felt physically, but cultivating different habits around my emotional health and my spiritual health, I've lost over 200 pounds without actually focusing on saying I'm going to lose weight. It was everything else. improving my life, my health, my outlook, the weight took care of itself.
Yeah. I had a similar experience when it came to my weight loss journey. It took me quitting my job and going, no, I'm going to take care of me now. Right. Like I was a heavy equipment operator at the time. And I was literally just sitting there going, no, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like, why would I put my body through that much torture? And then when I quit, I lost 100 pounds that first year almost. Like I went from 296 down to 202 in 12 months. And I like quadrupled the size of my business. It was nuts, like doubled my income. And I was just like, holy cow, what changed? Right. It was chasing the best version of yourself. And I started tracking my habits, and I like to call it habit stacking.
Yes.
Right? So when you stack those habits, it's okay. Well, I had a bad day yesterday. Okay. Well, that's okay. Right. Today's a new day. And you get to hit the reset button. And it's like, okay, well, today I can decide to make healthier food choices. I can choose to go do yoga today. And that's what it was for me when I first, one of my friends is like, come to yoga. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and do whatever this is. So I picked a 6 a.m. Vinyasa flow, hot flow class for my first class ever. And then I realized that was like the hardest class I could have chosen. Right. And I was like, well, I got through it. So, and I didn't die. Right. And it was literally just from that moment on, I was like, well, if I could do it there, I can do it again. Right. And same thing with me. I love running. My physio is like, stop it, Elena. I'm like, but I did the couch to 10K. And then I ran a half marathon. And that was like 2 summers ago. But it was literally like a week after my wedding. So guess what? I'm in like the best shape ever, because I'm training for this half marathon. And then the marathon got canceled.
Yeah.
It went virtual. Right. So everyone I was supposed to be running with, all like 40 of them, backed out except for me and one other girl. And so I did it myself. I went alone.
Good for you.
I did it.
A lot of people have not made that commitment.
Yeah. And it changed my life, because then that disbelief of, oh, I'm always going to be that fat girl, or I'm always going to be in that place that I don't want to be. No, you feel what it feels like to be healthy. You feel what it feels like to believe in yourself. Yeah. And all of it is because you continued to push yourself and drank the water. And like, dude, I ran out of water like halfway through, and I stopped at some random person's like back alley and used their water out of their tap because I was dying. And it took me 3.5 hours to finish that half marathon. But you know what? When I was done, I was like, wow, I did it. Wow, I did it. I never believed that I was actually going to be able to finish it. But when you start and you give yourself no reason and no way to turn back, I was in Canmore and I ran halfway to Banff and back. And that's like not that far, but obviously it was 13 miles, I think it said. Yeah. But when you get to that halfway point, you're already like, oh, I finished, even though you still have the other half to do. Because when you do it that way, it's okay, back to my bed is done, right? Like I don't have a choice, but I made the mistake of putting it at the top of the hill.
Oh no.
My last kilometer, I went Facebook Live and I was like, I am fucking dying right now. I was like, my legs are jello. Like I can't even like breathe or walk or.
There is something sadistic, because there are so many races that last tiny section ends on a hill. I'm like, y'all are messed up.
Why? Yeah. Why must you? But then it's done. And you have that sense of accomplishment that you're like, I can take on the world because of that. Like, absolutely. It's just crazy. So when it comes to running, what does running do for you? Like similar to what I was just explaining there, or is it a little different?
Well, running, cycling, those long periods of movement around endurance sports, like that, I've found is where I find my peace. It's where everything is right in the world. I can wrestle with whatever's going on in life. I can solve the problems of the world and nobody's out there bugging me. I can't answer my phone because I'm doing this or that. So it's that complete separation. It gives me the chance to just be and find my center, find my peace. And quite honestly, I'm pretty cranky without it at this point, because it's become such a part of life that is my release. That is my time. And you don't want to encroach on it, because if you're cheating me out of it, then I'm probably not going to be pretty nice in return.
Right. Yeah, that's me with yoga. And I walk my dog every day, and I'll seriously tell you, if I don't walk Ellie in the morning, she's a nightmare. Like, she'll literally just sit there and like paw, and I sit on an exercise ball. So she'll just like paw at my exercise ball and paw at it and be like, Mom, take me for a walk. What are we doing? Why aren't we walking yet? Like, what are you doing? So like, it forces you to get up in the morning. She just looks at me at 6:30 in the morning going, why are you still in bed? What are you doing? We need to go for a walk, Mom. Because that's how I trained her, right?
Yeah.
Get up early. And she don't let me sleep in. Like 7:00 rolls around, she's like licking my face going, get your butt out of bed, lady. Like, we're going. And she waits for me to read, and she just looks at me and she's like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? But that's the beauty of having a good routine, because you don't even have to think about it. Your dog will wake you up. Your kids will wake you up, like you will wake yourself up, because when you're so structured that it's like, no, this is a non-negotiable for me. This is what I do to take care of my health and my fitness and my mentality and my spirituality and me.
Yeah. And like, I used to be that person. You see that meme, like, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a night person. I'm just like this permanently exhausted pigeon or something like that. Like that used to be completely me. Like, I was definitely not a morning person, but I wasn't a night person either. But through this whole process, like, I've, that habit of backing it up a little bit earlier. Like most people, it doesn't compute real nice that I go to bed at 8:00 because I get up at 4 a.m. Right. I have my morning routine before I'm diving in with my clients. And if I don't have that time, then my day isn't set up well.
Yeah. See, I aim to get to bed by 11. I fail a lot, but I can do like 6 to 7 hours of sleep optimally. So if I sleep from 12 till 6, I'm good. Like, no problem. I can get up and I can rock the day. But if I'm going to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning and trying to get up at 6 or 7, it's like, why did I do this to myself? And then you're just not as sharp for the rest of the day. Like, it's so hard to get back on that routine. And I feel like, I don't know if this is the same for you or not, but when I don't have my structured morning routine, I feel like I'm just setting my day up for chaos. Like, it's not pretty.
Absolutely. I'm rigid about my morning routine in that it has to have all the components to really make it feel like a complete morning. But I've really come around over time to, there's flexibility in how much time can be spent on something, because life happens. There's things going on. You've got this on your schedule, all these different things. So, some days you might only spend 10 minutes reading as opposed to 45 minutes. But as long as just that few minutes to engage is there, you still get that feeding from it. You still feel that accomplishment. You're like, okay, check, did that, got something from it, and it builds on everything else you're doing.
I love that. I think reading was the number one thing that I incorporated that helped me get past that victim mentality, right? Because when you read, you have to be present. You cannot be doing 2 or 3 things at once. You have to sit there and you have to read the damn book. And then you have to dissect it, because most of the time when you're dyslexic, you read something and you're like, that made no sense. And then you have to go back and read it again. Right. So when I'm going through, I take a highlighter and I just highlight the things that are important to me. And then when I'm done the chapter, I go back and I read the things I highlighted, and then I can do a mental summary of what I learned. Right.
Oh, I like that technique.
I like it a lot. And when I was on my haul truck, when I was an operator, I would literally sit there and I journal about what I just learned. Right. Because there's so many lessons. There's so many lessons in a book. And guess what? If we don't have to fuck it up because someone else already did and they're going to teach me how to fix it, fan-freaking-tastic.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's fantastic. I love that you lost a whole bunch of weight, because guess what? I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this that are in the boat that we used to be in, that are struggling with their weight and they're struggling with their routine, and they just don't know where to start. And I think that the way that you explain that, just the habit stacking and just going through and going, what can I do today? What can I do right this minute that is going to get me closer to my goals and dreams? Right.
And that's exactly it. And that's always the question that I get is, well, where do I start? I'm like, pick one thing. What is the one thing you can do today? It's not some crazy life-changing thing. It might be putting your clothes out. It might be drinking the water. It might be, it's just something so small, but it is one thing that you have done that is putting you in that forward motion towards where you want to be, because tomorrow you're going to do it again and you're going to build on it and you're going to keep moving forward.
Exactly. And then guess what? Tomorrow's going to come and you're going to do it again. And then you're going to be able to do something else. And then you're going to be able to do those 2 things, and then the 3 things, and then the 10 things. And then you're going to have a solid routine that is trending you towards success. And every day is not going to be a win. There are some days you're going to lose the day and you're going to just go, well, I had too much cake today, or I didn't exercise, or I didn't do anything for me, read your goals, or sit with a book, or spend time with your family, or whatever it is that recharges you and makes you happy and creative, and, live that best life. But I think that when you can really just sit back and reflect and go, what did I do today that was intentional? Right. And then understand that tomorrow's not promised, and that we have to live today to the fullest. And I think it's really important to sit back and just go, okay, well, when you're in those moments, for instance, like when I was sitting on my haul truck and just going, what can I do? You know what I did? I'd go out and I'd do push-ups on my hand railings. I was 300 pounds just doing push-ups on my hand railings, because there was no other way for me to do it. I'd have to put full PPE on. So I'd have and I wear glasses. So I had like my goggles, my hard hat, my safety vest, my steel toes, and I was doing squats and push-ups on my haul truck, because guess what? I was 300 pounds and I knew I had to do something, because I had never been that big in my life. And I was like, why do I feel so sad? Why do I feel so frustrated? Why do I feel so, angry, and I can't get over it? But it's because I wasn't moving. I was just sitting in that anger and sitting in that frustration. And when you push through and you just challenge yourself to go, what is it going to be like today? Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to set it up from the very beginning. I'm going to go for a walk. That's it. Then you stack it from there. That's why I love the 75 hard program. Like, it's just so good. It just is so good. Oh man. Yeah. Check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about, but there is a program out there that Andy Frisella put out, and 2 workouts a day, a gallon of water, 10 pages of a good book, progress picture, no alcohol, no cheat meals. And you do that for 75 days in a row, and you will be a totally different person, because the way that you feel on day 60 and 61 and 62, those days that you, like this morning, not one footprint on my trail this morning because it snowed last night. So I can tell that I was the only one out there today. That's when confidence is built, when it's cold out, when it's minus 30 or whatever it is today.
Yes.
It's +2 today. So it's like lovely outside. But it's in those moments when we build that confidence and that belief in ourselves that we can do it.
Absolutely. And, so often with the little habits, with the things that we stack and build, it's very easy in the moment to not feel like we're doing anything.
Yes.
Because it is so small. It's those little tiny steps that continue to build on each other. It's not a sexy thing. Like it's just not.
Right.
But it's that looking back in hindsight and seeing, oh my goodness, look at all the things that I've actually done. Look at all the things that have actually been accomplished. Look at the transformation that has come from continually doing this one thing over and over, and then doing this, and then doing this, and then doing this. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can't see that on our own. We need the support of others to show us, hey, you're actually changing. You're making a difference here.
Yeah. Well, and Andy said it to me one time in a coaching call, and it was just like, it takes just as much effort to get fat than it does to get skinny. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And it's like, well, you can choose to eat healthy, or you can choose to not eat healthy. You can choose to eat how much you need, or you can choose to overeat. You can choose to exercise. You can choose to not exercise. So it's literally just the choices that we're making. And if we choose to be healthy, we're probably going to eat better. If we choose to exercise, we're probably going to eat better. We're going to drink more water, right? It's the habit stacking again. But like you said, just not eating out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? You don't know what's going into those foods when you're eating out. And it's like, if you can just control that one thing, meal prep, just meal prep, and make whatever the hell you want,
Yeah.
Whatever you want. But then you're going to feel better, and you're going to save money, and you're going to lose weight because you're being intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the number one tip that we can give people, honestly. But what else would you say if someone comes up to you and they're like, oh my goodness, I know all I have to do is like exercise and eat healthy, and that just sounds like way too much work. What would you suggest to them? Like, would you suggest they get a coach? Would you suggest that they have someone to be accountable to? Would you suggest that they just literally start with the one thing and just stack it from there? Or what would you say?
I'm absolutely the proponent of the one thing and the habit stacking, but accountability is my other jam, in that we don't exist in a vacuum, and we need support. And I think somewhere along the line, accountability has really gotten a bad rap, and it's so not. I don't know, maybe it's how I define accountability, but for me, it's those people and those structures and those different things that we willingly make a choice to bring into our lives for our best interest. So it can be our coaches, it can be our physicians, it can be personal trainers, it can be whoever it is that's supporting what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
I have lots of different people in lots of different areas. I have my coach, I have my sports dietitian, but I also have people, I've got a great therapist. I've got, those people that lead me and, push me to grow in my spiritual life. And they all fit just where I need them to be to continue to not only encourage me, give me that push when I need it, but also help to open my eyes to sometimes the resources that I can't see for myself.
Right. I think that's beautiful. And I think that's
because we don't know what we don't know. Sometimes we don't know the help that we need.
We don't know what we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Because how am I supposed to know something that I don't know? I don't know. Right? Like, how do I know what healthy looks like if I've never talked to a healthy person before?
Mhm.
How do I know what success looks like if I've never talked to a successful person before?
Mhm.
Right. And that's why I love books. I love
Yes.
books because you can listen to someone's story and you can see how they did it. And it's not, you don't have to eat salad 3 times a day. Like, no, you can eat normal food. It's just learning what works for your body. And like Jody Hardy says, she's one of my health coaches. She said, Elena, just focus on what makes your body thrive and what
Yes.
makes your body survive. And there's a big difference between surviving and thriving. And you can't be in that creative mode if your body's just trying to fight off what you ate yesterday,
Yeah.
you know? And it's just crazy to see with a little bit of attention how much you can learn in like a week just by figuring out what your body does not like.
It is. And, I think sometimes through this whole societal diet culture, we've conditioned ourselves to following into a structure,
Yeah.
that this is the way it has to be,
Yeah.
that we've lost our autonomy in all of it.
Yeah.
And it's almost revolutionary sometimes to say to somebody, well, how does food make you feel?
Right.
Are you willing to experiment with, how do particular foods make you feel in certain quantities at different times of day? How does your body react? Does it give you the energy you need? Does it make you feel sluggish? And really almost play a game with it. Like, it strikes fear in people because we're so conditioned not to think that way.
Exactly. Yeah. My reset week is what we called it, was the week before I went camping. So my reintroduction week, where I had to introduce the gluten again, introduce the eggs again, introduce the dairy. Like, it was horrifying because I was like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? And I was so scared of what my body was going to do because I took a week to get off of the foods and then stayed super clean for a week and had like no chemicals in my diet and nothing processed, and everything was like raw and awesome and no coffee. And like, it was the most hardcore I'd ever been, and that's just the anti-inflammatory diet. I had never, ever in a million years thought that gluten was going to affect me the way it did.
Mhm.
Literally, my stomach ballooned twice the size within like 2 hours. I looked like I'd gained 10 pounds. And I was like, wow, I never even considered that was a thing because it was just so normal to eat cereal and bread and pasta and all this kind of stuff. And then cheese, oh my goodness, that was bad. That was really bad. Dairy literally gave me tonsil stones like right away. Within 24 hours, I got tonsil stones and I was like, gross. This is awful.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
clearly my body doesn't process that stuff, but it's stuff that I've been feeding myself my whole life and just not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing is like, as children, think about a toddler eating. They know what they like. They know what they don't like. They know when they are satisfied.
Yep.
Sometimes they will eat everything in front of them. Sometimes they'll take 3 bites and walk away.
Yeah.
And, we've gotten away from being the toddler and trusting our body and understanding that our body truly will tell us what it needs, what it doesn't need, and that we really can trust those cues, that it's not our head, it's not our emotions, it is that physiological effect of, this is what's happening.
Yeah. I think that awareness, that just level of, okay, well, this is what I'm wanting to feel like, like I want to feel healthy. I want to feel energized. I want to feel excited. And then all of a sudden you're just sitting there going, why don't I feel like that? And it's like, oh, because I drank milk yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just think that you're messed up and you're like, there's something wrong with you. No, you probably just ate something you're allergic to, but
Right.
no one told you you're allergic to it. So like
Mhm.
yesterday I had broccoli salad. This shouldn't, healthy. Sure, maybe bacon bits, whatever, but same thing. It's healthy, but not for me because raw broccoli destroys my stomach. Like
Mhm.
literally sounds like it's talking. And I'm like, my husband's just sitting there going, what is wrong with your belly? And I'm like, I ate broccoli salad. And he's like, wow, that's intense. I was like, yep, it sure is. But just learning that about your body, like what works and what doesn't, is so important.
Absolutely.
So important. Anyways, I could talk about that for hours. I'm like, it just blows my mind what it has done for me.
Mhm.
So, okay. So my audience primarily is like new entrepreneurs or people who are looking at trying entrepreneurship. So what would be one lesson that you could leave with the audience that could help them get through those first stages, like the awkward stages of starting your own business?
Oh my gosh, ask for help.
Yes.
That is, I came from, a corporate background. I was a nonprofit administrator for almost 20 years. I thought I had this thing figured out. Boy, I knew nothing.
Right.
And I'm very grateful that I was surrounded by people that I knew I could trust and knew I could ask. And then additionally, on top of that, reach out for the appropriate business coaching and things in the areas that I needed. But, again, we don't exist alone on this planet. Like, we need each other. We need to work together. Ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It really is not.
I agree 100%. And I think that when you can own that and just go, hey, no, I need help because I know I don't know everything.
Mhm.
It makes you so much stronger because you're willing to accept the people's help as well. It's not a big ego thing when you're just like, no, I'm awesome at everything. No, you're not. There's no way you're awesome at everything, right? Like I look at people on my team, for example, and I'm like, wow, you're way better at this than I am, or you're way better at this than I am. And it's like, well, then let me be in my strong suit and let them be in their strong suit, and build it as a team or a family, right?
Mhm.
And that's the culture, is just asking for help and continuing to make mistakes and push through and learn together. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Anyways, I got a ton of value out of today. I'd love my audience to get more access to you. So where can they find you?
Well, I am all over social media at some iteration of Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness, and soul is spelled SOLE. Easiest way to find me though is straight on my website, Heart and Soul, SOLE fit.com. My blog, all my goodies are there. You can get on my calendar, and I think even there's links to my social media too. So
perfect. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know I got a ton of value. Even just like talking about my journey it's empowering, right? Like I think when you can be open and honest about the not being able to run to the street corner, that was everybody at some point. And I think that when you can share that and be vulnerable about that and just go, hey, I'm with you. I'm gonna run it with you, like, let's do this. Then you're able to really evolve. And that's the most beautiful part of finding yourself, is just pushing through those hard times and doing the things that are going to get you to where you want to go. So again, thank you. Thank you for being here today. I know that the loyal listeners definitely got a ton of value. So thanks again. And until next time, guys, that's Pursuit of Relentless. Elena signing out.
Gotta think about it, gotta dream about it, gotta find a way to do the things that make you feel